what's your reaction to Governor Kugler's decision here, and how concerned are you about who might replace her?
I've just seen the headlines, so I am learning information real time, whether this was a personal choice, whether there was a feeling of political pressure, and I'm almost hesitant to even weigh in because I don't have the information. Anything though that just as a overarching point, anything that makes this Fed more political, that robs it of its independence, is not good for America. It's not good for the world markets. I've been candidly proud of so many of my Republican senators who, while they seem unwilling to bend the knee to President Trump on most items, at least on the Fed independence, that has been rock solid. And even to give credit to some of my more progressive Democratic colleagues who, when it comes to the Fed independence, have been solid as well. So on this in particular member of the board, I got to do a little more due diligence before I weigh in.
Well, so, Senator, are you saying it's not necessarily a guarantee that whoever the president might want to nominate to fill Kugler's position will be okayed by the banking committee? Are there specific candidates who you think might enter this discussion who you think even your Republican colleagues would take issue with?
Well, I don't want to, I've been amazed, particularly within the national security domain, of the number of candidates that I thought were so grossly unqualified. And I've gotten a lot of my Republican friends who will privately say, Mark, you're right. But, the bottom's been scraped already in the intel community. I don't know whether there'll be people on the Fed position. And obviously, the Fed positions last longer than a single term. And enormously powerful. So I'm not betting on whoever gets put up probably won't have a fairly decent glide path. But put a big but, because I think the other subject that is frankly the most concerning to me is that the commissioner at the BLS is getting fired. America's strength, this is the point I try to make everyone. America's strength is made from our economy. It's made from our strength of our military. It's made from our values, which we have been well respected. It's also made from the fact that our institutions, particularly our financial institutions, that nobody thinks you're cooking the books. A challenge that China has in terms of when they release some of their data, people question that. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is the least partisan, most respected, and the idea that somewhere out of nowhere, it appears to me, other than the fact that Donald Trump didn't like the job numbers today, this woman gets arbitrarily fired. This to me is beyond outrageous, and it might bleed into the Fed decision because oh my gosh, if they're trying to cook the books on the actual numbers, maybe we ought to redouble our efforts to make sure Fed governors are going to be truly independent.
Well, a lot said there, Senator. Would you support an investigation into this claim to find out if these numbers are rigged?
Listen, I have huge confidence that the numbers coming out of the BLS so far under Trump, under Biden, under Trump 1, under Bush, Obama, that has been just a kind of a no-go zone. But we've seen the president have such kind of this ranting and obsession about, if people don't bend the knee, and his tendency to kind of, when facts are not convenient, to ignore them. If there was, I sure as heck would be interested in knowing more about why this commissioner was fired, and particularly if her replacement is someone that is simply a Trump loyalist. You're damn right. I think we're going to want to keep a much more careful eye. And this would be a case where, while it may not break through to the greater public, I hope the market And I hope those around the market, and again, you guys are ground zero, I hope you raise holy hell on this. The idea that we're firing the referee, the statistician, because you don't like the results, that's how you end up with corrupt systems.
Well, Senator, if we take the results at face value and assume they have not been manipulated, they do show the weakest 3 months of jobs growth we've seen since the pandemic. Does it actually prove a point that the president has been making that the Federal Reserve might need to lower interest rates?
Well, it would make the point in my mind that you're seeing the slowing of the growth because the concerns around inflation that families and businesses are feeling. I mean, remember, Procter & Gamble, that makes basically for consumers everything, and many of those products actually made in America. They said yesterday they're going to take 25% of their products and increase the prices because of tariffs. This, I have been surprised, pleasantly surprised. I want the economy to do well. Pleasantly surprised that the effects of the tariffs haven't hit as hard as they will. I think we are, from every economist I've talked to, we expected to start to see that in the third quarter. Well, obviously we're, just at the front end of the third quarter. I don't think we will. I think these inflationary pressures driven by the chaos of the tariffs on and off, I think we're going to really see that creep in pretty dramatically. So, the Fed has got to make sure we get the economy through this soft landing. And again, I think, but for the tariffs, I think the Fed's ability to have had a soft landing, when we go back and think, a couple of years ago under Biden and inflation was running 8, 9, 10%. If anybody had said, all right, we're going to end up a couple of years later with inflation back relatively under control and record highs in the markets, I think most people would say that's a damn good outcome.